All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Going to check out its local search and social and city search here, both combined. See if they got BSS. All right, so we're back here in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. And as always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pinned video up on the top, homepage, wherever. Now, this is because FSIC explains that all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got in white down there, our intent, basically our intent spectrum, highest intent on the left, lowest intent over on the right. And so if a boudoir photography business is rising, it's most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, the whole length. And if it's if a boudoir photography business is falling, then most likely it's missing, not bringing in, some cohort of people. Now, the highest 10 people over on the left are doing things like Google search, social media search, like a boudoir photo shoot in their city, like right now. And those people are fastest to the money, highest to convert. We talk about that with BSS here in our videos. And then our sister brand, way at the end over there, name is Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. That's where we are talking about BLCS. But right now, we're only currently working with the boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So on to BSS. BSS is boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google for the highest intent buyer keywords in their city. And so 0 slots is awful. I mean, we're basically dead at that point. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page 2. So 80% of Google searches literally, one and done Google searches, or page 1 and done Google searches. So from page 2, only approximately 20% of searches of people searching will ever even find us. And page 1 slot, that's not good either. Or 1 slot on page 1. I mean, it's better, but we're still basically invisible because guess what? There's 10 organic slots on page 1. If we got one of them, then there's basically 9 other boudoir photographers with 1 slot. Best scenario. Worst scenario is if another boudoir photographer is like 2 or 3, and then we're going to really never getting looked at. But let's say everyone has 1. And guess what a buyer's doing? They're going down, clicking open everyone's link on page 1, because approximately 80% of buyers ain't even hitting page 2. And guess what? They're contacting everyone on page 1, getting a quote from everyone, comparing, price gets shoved down through the roof or down through the floor, and kind of steals margin from everyone. So 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google, no, that's BSS. We cannot deal with any of that. And that's because 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google is actually not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. So it's super common, it's accepted, but symptom of 2 deeper root causes, and those are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, yeah, basically everyone knows this. It's like, seems like every week somebody gets a new iPhone, and then they're throwing up their Google My Business profile on their websites and the National Boudoir. That's kind of taking competition page 1 organic slots away from us. Or someone gets a camera, and they're posting to the mom groups in the National Boudoir. Also, big wave of this happened during COVID. People lost their jobs, it's out there in money. So as a result, everyone's got a smartphone and an awesome camera. So pretty easy people to say that they now for boudoir. But what that does increase the supply of boudoir photographers, but the number of buyers remains the same. So it makes it harder for every seller, every boudoir photographer to be getting those clients. All right, so everyone knows that. Basically everyone knows that. Basically nobody knows about this second thing, which is the false belief of page 1 equality. So that is kind of boudoir photographers kind of automatically assuming without even questioning that every boudoir photographer is entitled, to like either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, maybe they had their slot 8 on page 1 of Google with their website. So new boudoir photographers came in, ranked higher, and got pushed out to page 2. And it's like, oh, well, every boudoir photographer gets 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. It is what it is. And basically, they're believing there's nothing that can be done about it. This is 100% incorrect. And I know this for a fact because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on Google, on page 1 of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new strategy we're going to show you all today, or that I'll describe today. And it's kind of like we got to break through the mental barrier of accepting this as a false belief. And then once we do that, we can see, okay, there is a solution out there that we'll get to in like 2 pictures here. That, okay, we can use this to actually literally get as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort for. Next, a boudoir photographer BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So, disappearing boudoir photographer. Basically, if we got 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google, we're disappearing because we're either on page 2 or deeper, and approximately 8% of searchers are never going to find us, and that's the bulk of the market that we care about. And if We got one slot on page one of Google. We're being price shopped against the other 9, destroying our margins. We're basically invisible anyways. And we care about this because the disappearing boudoir photographer is the warning light. It's kind of the the red flag going up, where the disappearing boudoir photographer precedes the boudoir photography business itself disappearing. So that's why we care about that. And we got our micro universe here. We got disappearing with boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one the false belief of page one equality, where we accept it's a false belief. So we're like, okay, now what's the solution? Boom, we finally got a solution. But through our testing, we've learned that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And we know this works because we invented it. It's what I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, in only 10 days. And I mean, it works exactly as it's described. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, pick up as many slots on social as possible on social search, and that kind of acts as like the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America, where the streams, the small rivers from the backside of the Andes Mountains actually all flow together to the Amazon River, and into the big Amazon River. That big Amazon River is like page one of Google, and so, but it all starts with social search saturation. That's where it all stems from. And the cool thing about this is the only solution I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight against market saturation, so maintain the business and not decline, but also still grow in the face of market saturation, and for it to happen relatively quickly. And those at least visible results of getting on page one of Google to happen relatively quickly. The only other solution that I have seen is having a strong brand, but that takes 5 to 10 years, which doesn't satisfy the relatively quickly criteria that we need. Because dude, we're in the AI. Dude, AI taking page jobs. We gotta get as much. We gotta get as much slots on page one as Google as possible before AI starts taking people's jobs. And I mean, it's pretty easy to see. SQ methodology can do this. So imagine we're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and there's 1 million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got their websites saying they shoot boudoir. So page one competition is insanely crazy. And let's say we take, we see that and we say, okay, we got to take S-cubed methodology to the max. So what we actually do is we actually do S-cubed methodology so hard that we're like the first 300 slots on social search for the highest intent keywords, highest intent buyer keywords for boudoir in our city across all the social networks. And then let's say that flows onto Google, and we're taking like the first 300 slots on Google for the highest intent keywords for boudoir buyers in our city. And it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. So we're literally taking up the first 30 pages on Google. So anytime any buyer looks up, types in a high intent buyer keyword into Google, or even any of the social networks, they're only seeing us. They basically got to go to like page 31 on Google to essentially find any of our competitors. And so once that happens, then basically once that happens, and buyers can essentially only find us. They only see us. Who are they going to go with? Obviously us, whose business will be growing, even though there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers. Obviously us. And whose business will be dying and disappearing because they essentially cannot be found at all for anyone searching. All our competitors. So again, this is, like I said, the SQ methodology is the only thing I've seen that helps boudoir photographers maintain and still grow their business in the face of market saturation. That happens, or I can get on page one of Google relatively quickly, way faster than Brandon. In my estimation, I could probably build that brand about 8x faster than normally because we show up so much more on so many other surfaces. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we now have page one visibility. So we got multiple slots on page one Google as an initial benefit. Second initial benefit is every new slot we get on page one of Google, we're actually kicking one of our competitors at that slot, push them off to page one or deeper, making so approximately 80% of Google searches can never find them. So we turn them into disappearing boudoir photographers, where if they stay there, they're eventually going to exit, be kicked out of the market. So this is an awesome, second initial benefit of using SQ's methodology. So we're making other peeps invisible. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So BSV, we actually, this is where our GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one on Google comes in. So the GBC universe recommends 3 out of 10 slots page one on Google because basically every other boudoir photographer page one on Google will have 1 out of 10 slots or 1 slot. So if we see three, or if a buyer sees three, they're kind of subconsciously going to think, man, why is Google recommending this person so much? I guess I'll click into them and may not even click on any of our competitors. And second reason GBC Universe recommends 3 out of 10 as the minimum, because there's a tiny, tiny, tiny chance another boudoir photographer can have 2, which means we also got to be able to dominate them in that case as well, with us having 3. So, and the recommendation of 3 is basically if we got 3 out of 10, page 1 on Google, we're basically guaranteeing we're not declining. So we're guaranteeing we're either, treading water, so maintaining the business, or growing the business. Most likely growing the business, but at least we're at least not declining. That's like the big goal here. And finally, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 and the false belief, page 1 equality. Now we have the solution S-cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results doing this. So I wanted to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. So I know, okay, the exact thing I do for that is S-cubed methodology. I want to have as many slots page 1 Google as possible. So let's go down the organic slots. And we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 9, no, I'm not slot 9. Slot 10, me. So, dude, I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days, purely using S-cubed methodology. So these are the results I've gotten for myself with it. All right, we're at the main event here. And check out this boudoir photography business. Looks like we're going to Ottawa, Ontario. Seeing if we got BSS for their city search or what. All right, so we're going to Ottawa. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Boom, we got one. Let's see. All right, so our results. So we got 1 out of 10 slots, page 1, Google search for city. City's always harder than local search. More competitors. So yes, we do have BSS, and we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum, 3 out of 10 slots, page 1, Google search. All right, so if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local search or city search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, you're seeing you got either 0 or 1 slots there, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google, and you've accepted that page 1 equality is a false belief. The false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. And you're seeing that Google actually give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And you're actually seeing that S-cubed methodology is the only way forward, the only solution for you that can fix this. And you've been waiting for something like this because the ads, Google PPC, give you a best 1 extra slot, but momentum dies once you stop spending. These do have some momentum that does continue, not infinitely, but these do have momentum. And you like the initial benefits, more slots page 1 on Google. You really like the second initial benefit, kicking your competitors off page 1 on Google, relegating them to page 2, and effectively rendering them invisible to approximately 80% of boudoir buyers that are using Google search. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, more peeps get new gear, more boudoir photographers enter the market, got it. But you're also looking ahead and seeing, man, AI is taking people's jobs right now. AI is going to be taking more and more people's jobs right now. Last time that happened, COVID, big influx of boudoir photographers happened as a result of that in COVID. So you're realizing, oh man, actually a much bigger wave than before has come to boudoir photography, way more boudoir photographers. And you have decided that, man, you actually need to fortify your position on page 1. You literally need to have so many links, backups to the backup links on Google that they can't rank all of your links on page 1, and they stay on page 2, 3, 4, because Google wants to put them on page 1, but now there's no more room. And you basically need to fortify your page 1 position to essentially guarantee no current competitors rank on page 1, and certainly no new competitors that come in from AI taking their jobs can rank on page 1. So you're seeing all that, and fortifying, kind of like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because the city is below sea level. And you're seeing S-cubed methodology is also the only solution for boudoir photographers that can do that. And you want to achieve page 1 visibility to become a visible boudoir photographer and achieve boudoir search visibility, because you understand you need to acquire these things, do all these things on your path to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. You also like the future benefits of utilizing S-Cube methodology now, which we've not talked about yet, but every day we successfully execute S-Cube methodology, we are essentially creating these invisible thematic keyword columns that, plug into our brand, our name, our website, associated with it, kind of out there in cyberspace, digital space, that actually means backend AI mindshare. We increase our backend AI mindshare for all these terms based on frequency, repetition, authority, age, relevance. And every single day we do this, it increases the probability we actually will get recommended for AI overview. So we're kind of building these thematic keyword clusters, invisible thematic keyword columns all around associated with our brand, our handles, everything about us. And AI can parse this. So we're increasing the probability of this, we're increasing the probability we also show up AI search, standard AI search, which is, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. Increase the probability we are showing up in all these searches as when people use their AI search. And yeah, Google's approximately 90% of global search, but dude, AI search is increasing every single day. And when I last did an AI search searching for boudoir photographers, I searched the city. ChatGPT gave me only 3. So I actually went and looked manually for, basically on Google and on Facebook, how many there are out there, and there's like 60. So it's like, man, we need every possible way to get recommended AI search if there's only 3 slots. And your SKU methodology is the only solution that can give you the best, that can allow you to do that. And you understand that my current plan is to work with only 1 boudoir photographer per city. So what you've realized is you decide to become the first mover in your city, get that first mover advantage, kick out all your other boudoir photographer competitors, prevent them from using this strategy. You get all the benefits, more slots page 1, more people kicked off page 1 to page 2, effectively making them visible to approximately 80% of the market. Higher chance of fortifying your position on page 1, so nobody can ever rank on page 1 besides you. Higher chance recommended AI search, higher chance recommended standard, or recommended AI overview and recommended standard AI search. Approximately 8x faster in building a large, well-known brand, because we'll be really seen across so many different surfaces. And building up a massive gap, kind of AI back-end AI mindshare momentum gap between your competitors in your city, with all of these, invisible thematic keyword columns attached to your brand. And you understand the converse. If another boudoir photographer hopped on this, decided to go with me first, they would get all those benefits. You would actually be forced off page 2, and potentially you'd be forced off page 1, potentially also forced off page 2, and page 3 and deeper. Man, there definitely basically no one going that deep. And you'd be losing that AI mindshare. Your competitor would be recommended again, above and against you instead of you. You would be losing those slots, losing all that mindshare in the marketplace. And more boudoir photographers are entering every day, so you'd actually be worse and worse for you every single day. And this means your competitor would be growing our gap between you every single day. You'd have to actually go rederive, or actually drive for the first time, S-Cube methodology for yourself. And then you would have to go execute it, equal amount of execution as us every single day. And then once that happens, you're simply maintaining the gap that me and your competitor would have already built up against relative to you. So you're just maintaining the gap. So you'd have to actually outwork us 2 or 3x every single day to actually start to get some of your links on page 1 and go pull that back-end AI mindshare back towards your brand for all these invisible thematic keyword columns. But during all this, you're still not even 100% confident you've derived S-Cube methodology correctly in the first place. So probably wouldn't be putting in 2 to 3x our effort into it, doing it yourself. And the second thing is, who's got 80 hours per day to do all this? So you're hearing all that, you're like, screw that. I'm definitely being the first mover and adopter in my city, blocking out everyone else from using this. And as a result, we are, so if that's you, shoot me a DM. My DMs are currently closed because the hospital is currently closed to new patient intake. And then when we do open the hospital for new patient intake, shoot us a DM then, and we will see if you qualify to utilize our S-Cube's methodology.